Hey, everybody, welcome to the Thriving Lives podcast, to our weekly community Zoom call. Tonight's topic, we're going to be talking about gratitude, having a mindset of gratitude, which is also part of our May challenge for our members, and also talking about pessimism versus optimism. Before we dive into that, though, Renee, looks like you got a new background. Where are you at?
I do have a new background. I moved out of the parents' house and I got my own place. Um, so
Got your Wi-Fi set up, it looks like.
that was my Wi-Fi was one of the first things I set up, and I set it up on my own, so I was pretty proud of myself. Um, it's Google Fiber, so I mean it's not difficult. It was pretty easy to set up. Um, but yeah, so have my own place now, so that's good. Just adjusting with lots to unpack and get done and everything. My dog's been extra kind of needy and adjusting, so
Yeah. Well, because he also lost his other two dog friends, right?
yeah, so
I didn't even think
he
about
had
that.
two doggo friends at my mom's house,
And
and
two other people to
so
give him some love.
yeah, so he's doing great, but you can see him.
Like, don't tell me. I don't, I wasn't ready for that.
um but yeah, he just I have a camera in the apartment and I put it out like near the door or whatever so I can see him. And
Mhm.
I was at the gym today and he was just laying by the front door. And I'm like, this is so sad. Like I haven't been to the gym since last Friday because
Oh,
I just was trying to adjust and everything.
yeah,
And
working and all that stuff.
I feel guilty. I'm like, this is so bad that like I need to go to the gym, but I get home and I walk him for 15 minutes, then I leave again. And I
Yeah,
think he just thinks I'm gonna leave him forever again.
that's true.
I mean, not forever, but he was at my parents' house for 2 days while I moved, and all my stuff was out of my room. And I was like, oh gosh, he probably
He
thinks I
thinks you're
just,
gone.
he
Yeah.
thinks I'm gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
He'll adjust, you'll adjust. You guys will find your rhythm with it all. But it's definitely
yeah.
it's
We'll
one of
get a
those
rhythm,
transition times. Yeah.
but getting a lot more steps in, like 8 to 10,000 steps a day easily. Lots of walks in, which is nice to like break up. At least I'm still getting like movement in.
Yeah.
However, this cut face is just it's something.
Yeah.
Um, I had two cheat meals over moving weekends, and that was rough because I wasn't planning on having like any cheat meals, but I
Yeah.
had,
That's one of those things where like I'm always amazed with somebody when they're in the middle of moving and they still do a really good job with their nutrition.
yeah,
It's really, unless I was in comp prep, like I'm enjoying myself. Like I'm in survival mode as I'm moving anyway. I'm gonna eat kind of whatever during that time. I'm still gonna be intentional about certain things, but having two cheat meals over the course of a weekend of moving, give yourself a pat on the back. Like it could be way worse.
yeah, but
Did you go on those hikes? 'Cause I know that I told you last week that you should go on just a couple hikes.
I think I went on that walk,
Good.
Knox.
Nice.
Um, I'm trying to not look at my phone when I take him on walks right now. Like I'm trying to keep my phone in my pocket. For a while, I was doing really good about like not like I would sometimes like not bring my phone, and that's nice too. Um, but I don't know where I was going with that. But yeah, so that's good to just have some time. There's like some little trails around here. I don't know how long they are.
At least
But
get out in nature. That's good. I know you and I kind of talked last week about like, and I'm sure everybody deals with this on some level. Maybe their work isn't necessarily on their phone, but like for you and I, our work is
it's
can
hard.
be 100% on our phone. And I mean, we could have clients texting us, whether it's in the app, out of the app, whatever, people tagging us in Instagram posts and stuff of that nature. Like there's always, or potential new prospective, clients kind of reaching out. And so it's very easy for us to be really addicted to our phone from a work standpoint, but also to decompress. And it's hard to kind of have the same device be
It
a
is so
outlet to
hard.
check out, but an
Mhm.
outlet to also work. And it's really, really hard to kind of maintain that separation. I'm sure a lot of people are the same way with that as well. Like I know when I was in teaching, that was one of those things where people said like, use separate emails. I know some people have two separate phones, for their work phone and whatever else. I'm not going to go through buying two freaking phones and two lines and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely difficulties with that. And then so like having rules to implement, like if you're going on a walk, ideally you're off your phone at least like the first 20 minutes, just to like truly just be
Yeah.
in that walk. I've been doing the same thing in mornings when I take Boss on a walk. I'll still bust it out maybe to like record that I'm on a walk because again, that's
Yeah,
part of the job as well. Is
I
like,
know. That's the thing. It's like
living it.
yeah, I leave my phone at home, then I'm like, well, shit, like I should have taken a photo to
Yeah.
say I want to walk or whatever.
But some
So
of this, for us as well, it's like we have to fucking live our life and pull back on some stress and not always be in
yeah,
work mode. And that's just one of the things when we have our phone, we're in work mode. That's why, in the evening times, like as soon as this call's done, I try to go put my phone. I set my alarms so like I don't have any reason to look at it unless I'm looking at my sports bets that I'm probably losing. That's not a good stressor before bed, but it's my vice at the moment. Nothing big, just like $3 bets and shit.
that's not bad.
Yeah. But anyway, though, let's get to the topic at hand. We don't need to talk about my week. My week's been all right. As we talked about last week, my with those that some of those lab work numbers and stuff of that nature, one of the things that I've done is really pulled back on training. Still doing yoga. I have missed like 2 days over the last couple weeks of doing that, but it's pretty good. One rule I'm also trying to implement is not missing twice in a row. I feel like that's a good rule that I want to kind of start pushing to people as well. Is like we're all going to make mess ups, like that's going to happen. We're always going to miss, a workout here or there, or a meal here or there, or water intake one day, and that's why reflecting each day is super important. So you're like, oh, I missed water intake today. I'm not going to miss it tomorrow. I missed my workout today that was planned for today. I'm not going to miss tomorrow. My sleep was shit last night because I stayed up late watching, the Tom Brady roast. So I'm not going to do that, tonight or whatever the case is, and not repeating a mistake twice in a row, whether that mistake was in your control or out of your control. So that's kind of one of those things I'm working on, doing a good job with that. But yeah, no working out for me at the moment, which has definitely been hard. Yesterday, I think I messaged because I had some messages yesterday in the app and text and whatnot that I was missing because I was freaking staining a deck all damn day on Tuesday. Funny enough, on Sunday was our day that we were supposed to be staining it. And so Nicole's dad came out to help us and whatnot. And Nicole was supposed to be our weather person that like looked at the weather to make sure it was all good. She looked at like 6, 7 in the morning whenever we first woke up. Everything was in the clear. And then it rained on us at noon. And none of us had any idea as we were 2 hours into staining. So pretty much all of our work got diluted in water, all messed up. So Tuesday morning, I was like, all right, I'm dedicating my whole day to this. And it was about a 12-hour start to finish between doing all the coats and stuff. But my body is wrecked today. I'll say that much. And that counts as a workout.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I saw some other people, post about like, painting their house or mowing their yard. I would count those things at workouts as well. Like, is that necessarily going to build muscle? No, but in terms of an exercise standpoint, like if you're just trying to be more active, those things are wins. Mowing takes me about 30 to 45 minutes. That's straight cardio that you're doing as well with it. You're pushing something, so there's a little bit of resistance. You're painting a house, that's hard work. And like I said, I probably squatted 2,000 times yesterday. I didn't realize staining and painting lattice on the side of a deck was going to be the worst part of staining the deck. That was absolutely miserable. There's so many little crevices to get into. But I digress. We're talking about gratitude and optimism versus pessimism. I'll start with this. In times of stress, talking about gratitude in general, and this is something I've been doing as well. Nobody's got more stress, being mindful of that. So one thing that I always do, I don't have it with me, it's upstairs right now, and we've talked about this on the past couple Zoom calls as well, is my 5-minute journal. It's a gratitude journal. You answer some basic questions, which is kind of also where we went with this month's challenge, talking about 3 things you're grateful for every day. And the challenge is you're not repeating the same things you're grateful for. So that is always very, very helpful to me. It also helps me just be more present and intentional in the rest of my day, recognizing the little wins, the little precious moments, having Lola all the time. I'm not missing all those little moments because I'm being more intentional about being present and grateful for those things that are fleeting. They're not going to be here forever. So that's always very, very helpful to me. Renee, you want to tell us about your thoughts on gratitude and things of that nature?
Yeah. It's funny. Lauren posted that thing in the group the other day, and I had seen it like a week or so earlier.
Yeah.
But it was like you can't have an anxious thought if you're focused on something that you're grateful for. Like you can't have two like contradicting thoughts at the same time. And that was a really good point. I know I mentioned this in one of the Zoom calls in the past, but I think it was like 2020 or something. Um, Nicole and I would send each other every morning 5 things we're grateful for and 5 intentions of the day, which Marcus said he got from that 5-minute journal, which is cool. And it really just held us both accountable to
Nicole's
like
such a copycat. That's my wife, if you guys didn't know what she's talking about.
um we found things that we were grateful for and then would send it to each other. And it was a good reminder for both of us like hold each other accountable. Um and gosh, that was before I even really focused on my mental health or my physical health at all at that point. So it'd be fun to do it again. But yeah, gratitude's a good one. At the end of the year, I like to go back and reflect on things that I'm grateful for that I like did that year. And that's always fun to like read over and do. Um, so yeah, I would say that's a good. I feel like
Well,
gratitude is kind of like self-explanatory in that instant of um just like little tiny things that you're thankful for, like now me walking my dog, being the sole provider of my dog, I'm on
yeah,
these walks and I'm like, oh damn, I'm really thankful and grateful that my mom was able to take care of him for
yeah.
that time. Just having that help, just like little things where you don't second, like you don't always appreciate it in the moment, but when I'm standing outside for 20 minutes trying to get my dog to poop, I'm like, this was so nice to have a backyard, or this
Yep.
was so nice that my mom could watch him. I think just little things like that, um, where you don't always realize it until not that it's too late, but when you're in the moment, it's hard to realize those things, I
Well,
think.
because and that's also because in the moment, so many of us are so on the go and just
Yes.
stressed out because we just have so many things we're trying to get done or so many things that's our attention's going to. So yeah, like you're like, hey dog, hurry up and poop or whatever the case is.
No, I feel bad every time I think that. I try to not think it.
Exactly. Well, and again, like, we all do the same thing. Hannah's on the call right now. I'm sure that there's things that, it's hard to be patient with a newborn. Like I'm dealing with Lola and stuff sometimes, but I'm also like, she's a newborn. She's learning all this stuff. She's learning how to be a human right now. Your dog, it's like, I can't just say, Renee, go to the bathroom, hurry up, go to the bathroom. Like it doesn't work that way. And so
Yeah.
doing that to another being like that, it's unfair. And plus, you're just putting yourself in this extra stress state where that's
Yeah.
not what's stressing out. You have all these other things that are stressing you out. And
Mhm.
and what's important to recognize is that it's going to take as long as it's going to take, no matter what we're saying, no matter the energy we're providing. If you're waiting for a
Yes.
5-year-old to tie their shoes, you can get as angry as you want. If you're going to let them tie their shoes and whatnot, like you got to let them kind of go through that as well. Um, so it's like it's already going to take how long it's going to take. So there's no reason in being angry about it. If when you're stuck in traffic, you're stuck in traffic. Like there's not much to
Yeah.
do about it. And I mean, that's easier said than done because I'll get road rage. Like I'll get super angry just sitting in traffic. And I'm like, how can I put this thing in helicopter mode and get around it? You can't do that. I can't beat my car into a helicopter, but that's what people try to do though. And that's just one of those things where it's like, we're getting ahead of ourselves and trying to control shit that's out of our control. And that's really where anxiety comes from anyway. But no, I mean, so in terms of, the benefits of practicing gratitude, I feel like most people do not practice gratitude. Thanksgiving, that's when people for sure, if they're sitting down with their family, that's when you're talking more about maybe things you're grateful for, stuff of that nature, but it shouldn't be limited to that. And so, some of the benefits that's going to help you with, is obviously from a mental health standpoint. It's truly just going to reduce your stress and anxiety and depression and things of that nature just from taking that time to be present in the moment and really just think about the wins that are going on. One of those things that I see a lot in check-ins when somebody had a really shitty week, I see I had no wins this week. I'm like, that's bull. Like you had wins this week. You're just so jaded and clouded at the moment, and your pessimistic view of yourself or your week or whatever, which we're gonna kind of dive into here in a second, that you're completely overlooking all the other wins you had. And like first and foremost, you had at least one win that you should be recognizing, and that's that you checked in. You at least gave me a chance to be able to coach you, and you were yourself a chance to be accountable and hold steady to at least one positive thing for yourself, which was just as check-in if nothing else. And I'm sure that there was plenty of nights this week that you might have got good sleep, maybe that you got your water intake in, maybe that you had at least breakfast every day was consistent. There are plenty of wins, but you might have to dig a little deeper to find them, but you should be doing that. You're worth it in that, and that's also going a long way in kind of developing that optimistic mindset with it, and just a happier, less stressful mindset around things as well.
I
Um,
think it's a tough one. Like, I feel like it. I myself am constantly in this state of like adjustment market. Just a casual blender, no cup.
Well, I put too much water when I was making the shake, so
Oh,
I had a full shaker bottle, plus I had some left in the shaker as well.
okay, that's fair. I feel like I'm constantly like thinking about the next moment. Um, and that's something I want to improve on myself. Like I feel like for example, last week, I went to a concert and I'm like, oh, okay, I just want them to sing the song I want them to sing. And I'm like, okay, well, no, if I think that, I've got 10 other songs that I'm just wishing away when in 5 hours ago, all I wanted was to be at this concert. Like it's such a slippery slope of constantly like wanting to be somewhere that you're not. And so I read this thing the other day that said, be where your feet are. And I thought that was just a good reminder. And a good, just in general, trying to be where you are, because then you can't focus on the other things. Like you're at a spot now that you wished you would be at 6 months ago or things like that. So
Yeah.
just be grateful for where you're at and stop and appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Let's kind of dive in because I feel like we almost should have started with optimism versus pessimism as it pours into the gratitude side of things. But so let's real quick kind of define what optimism is versus what pessimism is. So optimism is essentially the easiest way to explain this is you see temporary and negative things as no, sorry.
You see,
Pull back.
you see negative
You
things
see
as
negative things
temporary.
as temporary, and you see positive things as more permanent things, right? Things you've earned, things you've worked for, things that you deserve, things of that nature. Whereas a pessimistic person is going to perceive negative things as being permanent and positive things as being temporary, right? So it's just the inverse of each other, and that's why they're opposites, obviously. But so with that being said, with it optimistic person is going to be looking at the silver lining of things. What are the things? What are the wins? For instance, on Sunday, as I mentioned earlier, with us staining that deck and the rain coming and destroying it, we could have all been upset and cried about it and been really angry about it. But I was like, you know what? Your dad's out here. Let's go do a couple of Parade homes and, check out a couple different houses. Let's go get some lunch. Let's spend some quality time together and still make of this day what we can, even though what our original plans were kind of got messed up. And then, hey, we had a great Sunday, a bonus family day. Plus, we ended up getting that stain done on Tuesday. But it's just looking at what is the positive that we can take away from this in this moment with it. But kind of coming back to the temporary versus permanent type of things with this stuff is what I see a lot of when people first come to Thriving Lives is they see their challenges as almost insurmountable, right? They've obviously they know they can overcome it because they wouldn't have reached out to us otherwise. They just need some help in that journey with it. But they see a lot of these things in their life as being permanent and things that they can't really overcome. And that's obviously our job, but also your job as the client as well to start changing some of these things about it. And that's again why check-ins are so crucial, so we can point out these things as well, right? Jeez, I don't know if you can hear that my dog just lost his mind upstairs. But so that comes back into that pours back into being grateful kind of in the moment with it, in terms of taking pride in what you can do, obviously, and the control that you do have with it. So yeah,
This is
optimism,
a,
pessimism, yeah.
this is a fun topic because you're optimistic and I'm pessimistic. So we both have different um views on it. I feel like people that are pessimistic, like I don't want to be pessimistic. Like it's not what I want, but like it's just how my life's been so far. And it takes a lot of effort to to change it, to stop and like revert those little mind tricks. But the good thing is about like with growth with that is whereas in the past you may have been pessimistic for like a month or whatever, maybe now I'm only pessimistic, like those thoughts only come for a couple hours and then I can switch them.
Exactly.
Um, so I think part of it is a little like ingrained, and then I think part of it too is like working on it.
Yeah, it definitely is. Well,
So
and,
yeah.
and that's the reason why you can overcome them so much faster now and be be able to recognize those thoughts as they come and be able to put a stop to them a whole lot faster than letting them persist and keep going for days on end and months on end. And again, that's I'm not saying that that's simply what depression is, but to an extent, that is the kind of stepping stones into that exact same thing. You're developing these brain patterns, these thought patterns that these negative things will continue to happen. Right, one negative thing happened, you get down about it, and you don't look for the positive thing. Well, the energy that you are putting into the world, the energy you're putting into yourself is going to come back on you, tenfold with it. So, if you trust that you're a good person, you do the right thing, you work hard, you are intentional with the things you do, you should trust that positive things will happen with you. And if a negative thing does happen, which it's going to happen to all of us, we're all going to have negative shit that happens. And if you're somebody who believes, well, bad things only happen to me and they're going to continue happening to me, well, guess what's going to happen? That's the energy you're putting out into the world. Those things will continue. And things will not get better really until we change that mindset, because you're just waiting for this magical moment that I no longer have this bad luck or whatever the case is. And really that truly does come down to the energy you're putting out into the world. You know, I see this with myself and Thriving Lives over the 8 years that I've done this as well. And it's been great having, Nicole by my side through it all. But, a nature of this business as well is people giving up on themselves in their journey, no matter what, Renee and I are doing. You have to still have some sort of a desire and want to continue to work at this, continue to persevere and persist at it. And some people, it just gets to the point where they just give up on it, right? And that's hard to see, obviously. And when you lose a client or things of that nature, like none of us really want to see that ever. But if we go into that with a negative mindset with it, like, oh, we lost one, here comes 3 or 4 more that are going to leave, and then you start questioning, your validity as a coach. And I know that we all do this in other businesses as well. I think about this when it comes to relationships or maybe mistakes I made in teaching, is if I sat there and harped myself for one bad thing or something that I could have done a little bit better, and not just learn, not reflect on it to grow from it, but instead beat myself up about it, and don't prepare myself for the next win that I can obviously get, then it's only going to continue happening. And you're creating this narrative about yourself that you're going to live up to. It's that self-fulfilling prophecy is really what happens to optimists and pessimists. But mainly that's going to speak more to the pessimist, is that if you're creating this narrative in your head, you're creating this prophecy that bad shit's going to continue to happen to you. It will continue to happen to you. Like it always does. It's in my worst moments, in my lowest times, that I get a flat tire, or that something negative happens, and they continue to happen with it until you can really shift that mindset. Once you shift that mindset, positive things will start happening for you, because again, you're just putting out better energy into the world. Maybe not everybody believes in necessarily energies with it, but when you really buy into this whole optimistic, pessimistic mindset side of things, I guarantee you start seeing those differences and how kind of life is going for you. Another thing with it as well that I always tend to see is like, sometimes a resistance that new client that people beginning their journey, whether it's a client or not a client, whatever the case is, when they are starting to begin their journey, they get sick this week, and then maybe their mom's in the hospital the next week, and then they move or they lose, they have a flat tire. Like they continue to start having these things. I always look at that as like the world's just challenging you right now to see what kind of person you're going to be with this. Are you going to persevere, or are you somebody that was just going to crumble after 1 or 2 obstacles that kind of come into your way? Or does this journey matter enough to you that you're going to fight and work through this and keep chipping away until eventually shit evens out, because you keep maintaining that right mindset with it. And that's easier said than done, obviously. But again, you're not in this alone. Like that's what you have us for. That's what I have Nicole for, to be able to bounce these things off of. And now obviously Renee, is that we can kind of bounce, whether it's from a Thriving Lives perspective or other, perspectives in life as well. It's always good to have those kind of those partners and whatever it is that you're doing to be able to talk about this stuff. When you do get down, having somebody you can actually talk to about it to help you bring yourself out of it is huge. And if you're doing this journey completely by yourself, I mean, kudos to you, but there's going to be a lot more harder days, and you're probably going to struggle a little bit longer than if you have somebody that you can obviously bounce these things off of.
Stuff always works out too. I think you just have to trust and take your time, obviously, like to be upset about something, but at the same time, you have to kind of let go a little bit and just trust that life will work out. And if it doesn't work out, then you're going to make it happen. Like
Mhm.
you have to actively work towards what you want. And I think that I called myself pessimistic, but I feel like too, like I'm not like the poor me pessimistic. It's more so of like, I just don't always believe that it's going to work out, but then it always does. So
Yeah.
I feel like,
You're open to it enough that things will still work out.
yeah, I'm open to it enough. I'm not like highly negatively pessimistic. It's just
Yeah.
pessimism is my first
Yeah.
instant thought. And then I can take that and shift it. Whereas Marcus, his first instinct thought most of the time is more optimistic.
Mhm.
So I think most people should stop and pay attention and think, okay, do I naturally look at this with glass half full
Mhm.
or glass half empty? And then be aware of those tendencies that you're seeing and try to, I think just being aware of it is the biggest
Yeah.
thing, and noticing, okay, well, how can I shift this mindset?
Mhm.
Um, or just noticing it in every different little aspect of your life, whether it's at work or at home or um just kind of in general.
Yeah. Well, you know, you bring up glass half full versus glass half empty. And the reality of it is that sometimes, regardless of your positive mindset or whatever the case is, a glass is sometimes truly half empty, and sometimes it's three-quarter of the way empty. And in those situations, when that's truly the reality of the situation, you also got to think, okay, what is actually within my control that I can get out of this? I don't want to be stuck in this position where I'm not feeling great and not feeling positive, not feeling happy, not moving in the right direction any longer than I absolutely have to be. So if there's an issue at hand right now, what is that solution? You know, and that might be maybe more of a solutions oriented type person and mindset and whatnot. But that's the other thing too, is that I feel like people who, especially that are pessimistic, feel like, well, that's just me. I'm never going to change. Well, that's the definition of pessimism. You think of this negative thing as being a permanent thing where you have control over it. It just comes down to what are the constant thoughts you're having and how are you going to address those thoughts? And that takes work to change kind of who you are to an extent, or at least as one thing about you. But again, it's totally worth it. If your life is full of negatives because of your negative mindset, it sucks that we have to change that, but you can definitely change it. And again, this is not to get back to check-ins, but to get back to check-ins, that is part of that process as well with it. If you are constantly beating yourself up, not giving yourself grace, not looking the positives, not finding solutions for where you did struggle in reality this week, if you're not doing those things, and you're not going to see improvements, you're not going to feel magically better next week, and that longevity track that you're on is not going to be too fruitful for you until you can start doing that. And then also that boils down to doing it on a daily basis as well. And so that's why I really truly think that that gratitude journal just you don't even have to have a journal with it. You can just write down these exact same things. I mean, literally, like you don't need to spend $20 on a journal to do this in. I just like it. But it really helps you start developing that more of an optimistic mindset, because again, even as an optimist person myself, naturally I still get in ruts, still get in pessimistic mindsets. You know, I still get in these moments where I just feel really down with it. And so having something like that, again, I don't want to be stuck in that longer. So that's my solution, is just to be very intentional with filling this little book out every single day. What are three things that I'm grateful for? What are three things that would make today amazing? And again, that doesn't necessarily have to be, oh, I signed up a new client this week or today. It could just be, and literally I'll write this down. I just want to cuddle with Lola later on today. That's one amazing thing that I would be. And then later on, whenever I actually go get a cuddle with her, I'm very present because I'm like, this is an intention I set today that is going to be amazing today. You know, it could be literally anything else, you know, dropping off Lola today to my father-in-law and Nicole's grandma. Like, it's amazing that great grandma gets to see her every single Wednesday with that. And I love seeing them all get to interact. And to me, that is something that even myself, I would usually just skim over. I wouldn't really think twice about how cool that actually is. But when you're actually super intentional about it, I'm like, there's another amazing thing that happened right there, right? I mean,
The more you do it as well, especially if you like in my case, the more encouraging I am to my clients, the more it naturally
yeah,
just happens in my own life. Like I will say I think I've grown a lot as a person since starting coaching because I'm able to point out all my clients' wins. And then in that moment, I'm able to step back and not be as, I'm still very hard on myself, but
Yeah.
not be as hard on myself because I can see it more in that encouraging mindset. So the more you train it, I mean, it's just like training any other part of your body, like
Yep.
you have to
You're
train your
just
mind.
training your
It goes just
brain just like
as
anything
you
else.
train your muscles.
Yep.
And so just like what Marcus is saying, is like taking a second to stop and look and see, oh yeah, this is something I am grateful for. Like this is a nice time. I should be in the moment. Um, is really helpful to have gratitude and to be more in that optimistic mindset or just like working towards that.
Exactly. And
Not positively. You don't have to always be positive. I hate like toxic 24/7 positivity. Like sometimes shit happens and sometimes shit sucks, but it's just not harping on that and staying on that low for years on end.
definitely. And to take this step further as well is a term called neuroplasticity. And so
Mhm.
essentially what that is essentially like your brain is forming new grooves in its brain. It's the ability to kind of reorganize itself and develop kind of new neural connections and stuff of that nature. So whenever you do something new, a new skill, things of that nature, you are reforming and reorganizing your brain to some extent. You're creating new pathways and things of that nature, literally creating new grooves in your brain with it. So this is one of those things where you can be creating new neurological pathways in your brain, new grooves in your brain of who you really want to become. You know, do you want to continue to be a negative person that doesn't go out and get what they want in life, or do you want to become a positive person that also gets what they want because the energy they're putting forth, the effort they're putting forth, and again, what you give out is what you're going to get back in return, right? If I'm just showing up being a dick to everybody, I'm not going to get a lot of honey in life. You know what I mean? But if I'm showing up and I'm being the most positive and uplifting person as I possibly can be, if my job coming into each day is how can I make somebody smile, how can I make somebody's today, how can I at least not add to their stressful day, then those are wins just in itself right there. And again, now I'm creating a better energy about me just in the world as well, which that's good karma coming back to me as well. So you can get out of this negative mindset, but again, you just got to know what the steps are and put in that work, right? It could be listening to audiobooks, could be listening to podcasts such as this one or anything else that helps you kind of feel good with it. But all this still comes down to self-reflection, recognizing who you are, where you are, what are these thought
Have
patterns,
to
you know,
self-reflect. That's the
taking,
only
yeah,
way.
taking audit of these things. And also, coming back to it as well, and this is a great year for this topic as well, is, the election. Like nobody's really looking forward to this year for the most part. Um, the average person I feel like isn't, at least. And ultimately, like, I mean, I don't know about all you guys, but like watching the news, like in 2020, just with COVID, not even from a political standpoint, but just like COVID and political shit and all that type of stuff, it's fucking exhausting, right? Like nothing about it is fun. It's all negative stuff. Nobody has anything positive to say. It's just all and so if you continuously, I know that like a lot of us probably sit in front of the TV watching that shit and it's just all negatives coming into you. If you watch the news every single day, you're hearing mainly negative stuff because that's what's noteworthy, right? That fear, that negative stuff is what draws more viewers to it. And so ultimately, if that's the content you're constantly taking in, constantly reading about, listening to, whatever the case is, that's constantly negative, what do you think is going to be in your mind? Negative stuff, right? But if you're putting more positive things, the people that you hang out with, the people who you invest your time with, right? Your
What's
co
that
your family.
saying? So you hang out in a room full of smokers. If you hang out in a room full of 10 smokers, you'll be the 11th. If you hang out in a room full of something else, there it's the saying. Uh,
Yes.
but that's exactly what you're saying is who you surround yourself with. Um,
you
is
you're going to
so
tend to
big.
be more and more just like that as well, right? And especially when it comes to negative stuff, because misery loves company.
Yeah.
I mean, happiness loves company too. But I mean, I'm happy being happy just by myself if I need to be. But misery, we all feel a little bit better when somebody else is also miserable there with us, right? Because it doesn't make us feel quite as bad for that exact reason. And so, take audit, take account of the environment you're putting yourself in, the content you're taking in, and feeding your brain on a daily, minute to minute, hour to hour, daily basis, and also take audit of the conversations, that self dialogue that you personally have with yourself around food, around fitness, around your confidence, around who you are, your abilities, your belief in yourself and things of that nature. um because you have to be able to recognize in the moment I'm being negative and negative to a point where it is not helpful. You know what I mean? Like sometimes like, hey, I'm being lazy right now. I need to get up and go do my thing. Right. Sometimes you got to talk yourself into it and by recognizing that. But again, it's taking action in the right way, right? It's not just sitting there beating ourselves up for the sake of beating ourselves up, which is again what most pessimistic people are end up doing with that stuff, right? So again, take those steps with it. People on the call, you guys have anything to add to this? Anything you struggle with a negative mindset or lack of gratitude, things of that nature? No worries if not.
I think I have one, like kind of like what you said, going back to like the whole thing with a newborn is like sometimes I look at it as like, dang, it was so much easier to go to the store before he was born. Like it's like an hour and 15 minutes now, before he was here. And I hate that like that's the mindset because obviously I wouldn't change like being a mom or being a parent for the world. So I'm trying to like switch that mindset to be like, okay, well, at least I'm like grateful that I have him and that he can go to the store with me and that I can do these things with him. And then
Yep.
also like I feel like wishing away milestones is one thing I've really been trying to like
Yep.
work on because I like he's so close to rolling over both ways and I'm like, dang, I just wish he would do it. But also like then I think back or like I look back at pictures and I'm like, wow, like where did the last 6 months of his life go? So I'm
Definitely.
really trying to say like instead of like I can't wait until he does that, like I say like I'm excited for it
I say
because
that.
I can wait.
Yes, I
Like
say the
I
same
can
exact
wait
thing.
for him to do it. Yeah.
No, that's I truly think that parenthood is a great example of that as well. I know not everybody in Thriving Lives is a parent and stuff of that nature, but you can still grasp exactly what we're talking about. When Nicole first got pregnant, that was my word of 2023 and my word of 2024 as well as being present. Before Lola came, I wanted to be present with Nicole and doing all the things that we could do together, right? When it was just us and our dog boss, right? And then same thing, you know what I mean? Be present and the ease of just living without having to take care of a little one that can't do anything for themselves, right? But same thing, with Lola now, like I've checked myself as well for the past 7 months is I don't want to say I can't wait for this because that puts you in this future thinking mindset where right now is amazing. Like right now, especially with that, because it's just so rapidly changing. We don't want to have a second baby, ideally. Now if I ever have a second baby and they listen to this, like, yeah, that's real. At this moment in time in 2024 on May 8th, we don't want a second baby. But so that's even more to the point, like, I don't want to miss any of these moments, right? Because we probably won't get to do this shit again. But it's also like recognizing that and taking that exact mindset you have right now, Hannah, that you're talking about, and then putting that into other things, right? Putting that into your own health journey, putting it into your career, whatever context you want to kind of talk about with it, is being present and getting the most out of what you can with it. And not wishing today away, right? Be looking forward to it, finding the silver lining in whatever it is that you're doing. Really helps cultivate that mindset, and that pours into other things. When you do it with just one topic, it pours into other things. That was good.
Yeah, that's a good add-on.
Good addition. Good addition. Well, friends, I mean, we could sit here and keep going around and around about this exact thing. I'm sure I can reword it 20 other ways for us, but this comes back and it boils down back to weekly check-ins, right? You do that, and that really paves the way for everything else that we're talking about here. Leads to you guys being more grateful and mindful of this stuff throughout the week. Again, great time for this call, considering that is part of this month's challenge of writing down those three grateful things. Anyway, though, Renee, you got anything else to add?
I don't think so. I
Cool.
loved that little add-on. I think it was such a good um way to end it.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, all right, y'all. Enjoy your new place. Renee, enjoy your new place. Full week in it, and check-in day is tomorrow. I think that's all. Oh, lift party on the 19th. We'll keep reminding you guys until
Yes.
that actually happens. Sunday, May 19th, 11 to 1.
A week and a half away.
I know that's coming up quick.
Wow.
Coming up quick. But yeah, hopefully we see you guys there. Otherwise, though, see you guys on check-in day and have yourselves a great rest of the week and a weekend ahead.
Thank you, you too.